About the circus I speak. I speak how it's ponderous. That is what it makes me know. It's like a rhinoceros. I've thought about that all week. They're all megalomaniac. That is what they make me know. I think of how they panic. I've thought about that all week. They're all drunk and lumberous. That is what they make me know. I know they're all slanderous. That's why about them I speak. He went to praise Elon Musk, African American, who supported the repukes, which is un-American. Those elephants without tusks. Musk grew up in apartheid. Like those Afrikaner kooks. The right is undignified. That's why it celebrates Musk, African American. Let's send him to Mars with nukes, and all the Republicans. They're useless without their tusks. About hobos I must speak. I speak how they're so carefree. This is how they make me feel. They remind me of a flea. I've thought about them all week. I think about how they dress. This is how they make me feel. I adore when they impress. I've thought about them all week. They remind me of a flea. This is how they make me feel. I feel they are so carefree. That's why about them I speak. Thy delicious secretions, thou gargarize the fluids. Maybe feet might likely soak. As blood might like thrills just did. With the graphic excretion. As thy sadism must be, thou art fresh like thine own smoke. From the sadism of thee, thy heart's crimson completion will likely be polluted. Just like thine own bloody cloak. As the horror so ruined. With thy soul's dark deletion.
So, chemical castration, such rebel dysphemism, trust endocrinology, it disproves dysphemisms, like chemical castration, and the myths about the bones. Trust endocrinology, it doesn't impair the bones. So chemical castration is just a dysphemism toward endocrinology. Never trust dysphemisms, like chemical castration. A ranger bought a cheap house. It was in a tough suburb. Then came the ugly homies, to stomp his head on a curb. Then he called friends to his house. They came with an arsenal. They came to match energies, arsenal versus stockpile. It became a slaughterhouse, a war zone in a suburb. All because of these homies. They terrorized the suburb, until their fate at that house. That bothers false accusers, but most accusers aren't false. How do we know the difference? Should we just assume assaults, and not blame the accusers? Oh, right. Believe all women. How do we know the difference? Let's show that deference to men. Hashtag, stop false accusers. Also, stop those lame slut walks. Their haughty belligerence, by smug accusers so false. So let's stop these abusers. He infests a message board. He's spamming all the users, and they're all getting rickrolled by this clickbait abuser. And he's gonna strike your chord. He's so cottage elastic, with how hard you're being trolled. He's so enthusiastic. He creeps out the message board. He's scaring all the users. He gets increasingly bold, doxing all of these losers, and swatting all in the board. A mass shooter in Walmart, a rather sloppy marksman. His face just screams, killgasm. He first took out armed guardsmen. They looked like they fell apart. People scattered like sprinkles, some were doomed as phantasms, from his own bloody sprinkles. One guy was not very smart. He hides in a stall and then, the damned maniac has him. He left the stall's door open. That brainless fool at Walmart.